Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lost Through the Rabbit Hole. Today we have Mr. Bond joining us. I had to say it like that, like super villain. I'm sure you get that all the
Yeah,
time. Sean
yeah,
is
it's
a
Bond, Sean.
healer. Sean Bond, awesome name. Sean is a healer. He performs Reiki. He's also a massage therapist, an experiencer, and an expert in psionic abilities. So let's give it away for Sean. How's it going, man? Good to have you on.
Thank you. Good to be on. Thank you for having me. I'm a founder of the Sonic League, a group of people that unlock superhuman abilities and want to help the world, expanding because it's one of the cures to our state of condition, as we're a psionically latent species and emergent species with much secrets, powerful DNA, and potential to unlock that can make the whole universe better and solve so many problems. Every problem has a solution, and a lot of the times you can make a psionic version of an ability that solves that problem. Same with uh, no one's fixed. IQ is changeable. You can program your body and DNA and become your greatest self. And it's a wonderful, never get bored kind of experience.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And how are you?
I'm great.
You doing okay?
Excited to have you on.
All right.
Yeah, actually, it's exciting. I just read the whole Reiki thing, so I had to put on my meditative Bigfoot shirt.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. Yeah. So, yeah, what kind of things do you get into? You got a lot of thing. I like your background, and you got a lot going on there.
Of course, we dive into a lot of contactees, so I got a lot of alien stuff. I grew up in the '90s, so I have to have Godzilla and Daniel-san from Karate Kid.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good collection. Yeah, what kind of things do you want to go into today?
um, let's talk about your experiences. What was your first alien or ET experience?
First ones, I'm not sure. I forgot a bunch of them. I've been in the process of remembering. Each time it does, it gives me a little bit of mind freak. The ones that are easy to remember, um, a lot of dream visitations or what could be dreams. You know, whatever. But then there's this. There certain species have the ability to influence a dream and then appear to it and then communicate to you. So that's really interesting.
Hmm.
A lot of ships showing up, invasion scenarios, other timelines, experience in like wars with other species. Um, One time I was when I was staying at a house of super soldiers. Uh, I had a dream where I woke up on a what was like a medical table, and it I was a little freaked out and groggy, and there were like multiple different types of ET species around me. One was a gray, um, and the others I have no idea to this day what they are because I haven't seen them in any alien species book. Uh, they were a little startled me waking up like I wasn't supposed to, and then the gray appeared after she started telepathically communicating to me in a very emotional, positive overwhelm. It's like it's okay, and then there's like all this memory recall, like quickly, everything's okay. We know you. We work with you. And then there's like a bunch of memory kind of systems really quickly pouring in. Like here's these times we shared, and here all this stuff. Everything's okay. You don't have to freak out. And it was very loving. It was beautiful, and it was like a female voice. Um, it was the gray, I later found out it was an emerther, which is a positive gray race. There's like over 4,000 gray races, and because they like to be
Yeah.
chewed and they're like a DNA technology, and some will be consciousness transfer bodysuits. Some will be like EVs, and there's some real assholes, of course, like like the Matri, which are the tall grays, some of them, and Zeta are really dramatic. They can be assholes, but there are multiple factions. I don't like to be racist towards any group, but yeah, and then I was able to telepathic contact her afterwards, back and forth, have a conversation, and learn about their species. And I well, I've gotten more into it, but it appears I've been visited by multiple Earthers. One time there was, and she lulled me back to sleep, and then I woke up in my regular bed, essentially. And then after that, I had the conversations with her, and I researched what type of gray species and what's going on with it. Some of the information's a little not full spectrum. They're like an ancient species that has time travel and a lot of abilities, and is emotionally open, and helps secure this planet. They also, with time travel and they've been part of the Earth experiment since the beginning, is what I read into with their information, and they have connection to me in DNA. So they added their genetics to our species at the inceptionary point of the human experiment, like before the Anunnaki
Hmm.
imbrication. That was another point in time that was towards the beginning of civilizations on Earth, and they see us as part, like their offspring, but as well because we're a super hybrid of 10,000 other races. So, they want us to do well, and they have a lot of well, agendas, but like a lot of them are positive, mutual beneficial, in which they want us to do well. And if we do well, it affects their species and evolution in a positive way. And we're like resolving a lot of things for a lot of species all together, because we're like an antidote, and for a lot of problems. Uh, and so they see it kind of like gardening, or taking care of a pet that's going to be
Hmm.
higher sentient. And it's not really good metaphors, but and they cultivate, and they go throughout the timeline and try to make things better, um, and get
I'd
rid
way
of
to put it.
problems
I'd
that
say
they are able to.
I'm familiar with them. I'd say they're parenting us.
Yeah. The Matri, the tall gray, aren't they're they've mostly been assholes to me. So there's definitely a lot of different types of grays,
Yeah.
but but yeah, and they have a lot to do abduction, stealing DNA and implants, and stealing abilities. But then I had another occurrence where I had a really long dream where I got visited by another Emerther, and he took me to a ship, and it was a really interesting ship. It's kind of like a Comic Con nerd. I would describe him as, in a good way, like where he collected memorabilia from all of Earth history, from shows. He was able to tune in and watch a bunch of shows, and he loved it. He collects them.
Wow.
Or abduction is like, hey, can I do anything for you? It's like, yeah, get me. See if you can get me these movies. I want to watch those. Um, and ended up having like conversation with him on like pirating movies because it's much easier. But but yeah, he had all this memorabilia from our history and cultures and shows, and he's like, you wouldn't be able to pronounce my name well. Might as well just call me Brian. And he's like, And it's like, okay. Then he had this cool portal that he can link to anywhere. At least I don't know if it was like he didn't really explain everything having to do with it, but it seemed like he could go anywhere, and he linked it to a place on Earth. And I was like, okay, let's check this out. It was like some beach resort thing, and I went out of it, and he didn't want to go, and I was like, why don't you want to go through there? It's painful. And he explained to me, and because this
Yeah, we
like
we
man is
lost you for a
incredibly
second.
traumatic, and there's all huh?
We
What'd
lost
you
you
say?
for a second. You froze for a second there.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Uh, yeah, he didn't want to go through the door with me, and he's like, and go through the door because it's dramatic and it hurts. Being on our planet is like an empathic nightmare to his species, apparently, and he was communicating to me with telepathy about it. And we're like incredibly dramatic, and we're just swimming in it as if it's like nothing. But him, it's yeah. I think a lot of species, it's why they don't like to come down. But we're very dramatic. So then we had a bunch of conversations and showed me a bunch of things, and then took me back, and then I had conversations with him that were nice telepathically after and forth, and sometimes he visits me again. Then another one. Oh yeah. So I had this whatever it could be a dream. I don't know. Where I was at my one of my houses, and I was doing this thing. So it was really it freaked me out. Like because it could be a memory, it could be a lot of things. Because I used to do this all the time. I take a big laser, shine it up in the sky, and like, hey, let's see if we can get some UFOs or something, or And I was hanging out with some friends, and I was shining the laser, and we're getting some shooting stars. And then a plane went like it's kind of like an aerial plane, like those ones that dust fields.
Yeah.
And that coming overhead slowly. And while I was seeing it, I was explaining to my friends, like, hey, sometimes UFOs cloak themselves as planes, and they just like do that, so you can't tell or anything. As that was happening, it started getting lower and lower. I was like, whoa, okay. And then it slowed down until it stopped, and I'm like, whoa, that's not. And then everyone started getting of anxiety, and like I could feel it like intensely. I was like, "Oh, she's oh no, is this gonna be bad?" And stopped, and then uncloaked, and then it dropped behind my garage, and then yeah, everyone was just freaking out about that, and then I went to see, and then a Mirth or Grace popped out, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay." And here and then they gave me a manual about the uh, having to do with their information having to do with their species, and then telepathic communication ensued at a high level. And I was like, oh yeah, this is good again, back and forth. Uh, and then they explained a bunch of things really quickly, and they wanted the main one. He wanted me to call him Teddy, which is interesting, like Teddy Roosevelt. And then
Mm.
a bunch of things back and forth. I started asking questions, and then like, how do I get more of this contact before whatever? Because I know these experiences probably end soon or whatever. There's like a time limit, and he said the biggest thing that's stopping you is like fear, and it's not. And he's explained it more deeply. Like it's not like just regular fear. That it's like implanted fear. Like everyone on the planet has these blocks in them that are booby trapped to trigger anytime you interact with a higher dimensional or extraterrestrial or something, and it makes your body freak out, and it can to where both it makes an uncomfortable experience for the person and the ET visiting them, because they're especially if they're empathic, and there's like an energy release mechanism that's like a self-defense system, and it's usually self-defeating because it's if you were in control of that, you would be like, oh, don't harm anyone that's good, and only harm the beings that are trying to abduct me and
Hmm.
or possess me or haunt me or some shit. And it's usually programmed the opposite. It attacks things that want to help you and be your friends and visit you positively, like soul family. And it can be programmed really violently and to harm and attack the other being. So I think that has to do with what I've tracked back is older abductions that are negative, that are to limit people and monitoring them and steal their DNA, and then they imprint a program that is self-defeating to harm, attack, send destruction energy, something to do with mostly programming the ego and the shadow to do this. And so if we get rid of all those things, then it's much easier to have other beings visit us.
Hmm. Makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, and I got a bunch of other ones that, that I yeah, but so like when I went to Shasta, California, Mount Shasta, there's some crazy shit you'll find out there, especially if you camp. There was a light one time we were camping right above it, and it was just sitting there right above the peak. And we were like, oh, what is that? Is that a star? That kind of looks like it's low hanging to the ground and like close. That's kind of weird, but it just stayed there for like 10 minutes or so. And we just kept staring at it because we were just like chilling and talking and stuff. And it's just really weird because it was just hanging there, and it was not like the other stars. And then eventually it just phased out. It went away, and we were like, "Whoa, that wasn't a star." Okay, and then yeah, we had I had some cool dreams about visiting other realms, and there's apparently a whole network of dimensions and realms and inner Earth space under Mount Shasta. So yeah, that was beautiful. And then when I went back there one time, I was just hanging out in the hot tub after everyone went to sleep and shining the laser above it, and then doing like this little piano thing with the stars where I'd see if I could track back any cloak shifts. If you have like infrared goggles, like Generation 4, you can see into more stuff like more easily. But I had things I would attempt to contact telepathically races and bases near there, and see if they would give me a little light show to show that they're there. And then I had one where like a big blue light just like went right down into the Shasta. So that was awesome. And then a bunch of back and forth shooting stars that could be whatever, but if you can ping them with telepathy, they'll talk back. So that was cool. Also went to Montauk. That was there's a lot of activity there. I was doing a little reunion get together with a bunch of the super soldiers. Um, and yeah, we were going throughout all the bases and looking at the places, and I was doing a bunch of grid work to free lost souls and abused kids that lost their lives and help their ghosts pass on, and capture a bunch of the negative predators that are attached to some of the power places, and then see if I can get some of my soul parts back. And there's a big timeline, like a rip in space time there as well. There's like this huge elevator of bases above, especially the big places that power multiple races. A lot of them more negative. and there's like a war over that place of power with the light and the dark, and we were getting we were also at a hot tub there, so that was great. So I was in the laser there, and we're like just chilling and talking cool, expansive topics, and we're like passing around the laser. Hey, you can Excalibur, pull the sword from the stone, see if you can summon a UFO. And yeah, there was a lot of shooting stars and green lights that were just like some even turned in at midair. So I was like, oh, that's not a shooting star. We don't even see. I don't even see that many green shooting stars.
No.
Um, and I was telepathically communicating to whoever was it, and it seemed to be some um, humanoid higher species of some type from the future that was doing like a war in the and remedy of the timeline back in time to try to make what was happening and affecting the timeline there better. And it was like conversing with me to wanted me to do a bunch of things that while I was there, and then to give me pointers to make the timeline better, and what was anchoring a negative, a bunch of negative timelines, and that was cool. That was fun, and I have a bunch more. But like, what kind of experiences have you been through? Any
I've had
types
some.
of race?
I, I've had some missing time. I've had some crazy dreams, a bunch of crazy dreams. um,
Nice.
I saw something phase something blue and make it disappear, like explode it in the sky once. That was one of my most wild experiences. I was in the deep, like way up north on my last birthday, and yeah, I was just watching the stars with my wife, and we saw this thing, and it like zapped something else and disappeared.
That's fun. What do you think that was? Yeah, any inkling or intuition on it?
Um, some of the dudes that I saw in my crazy dreams. That's I honestly think it is to this day.
Oh, cool. What kind of species would you describe that you would say probably
I
exist?
I had tons of dreams with these vampiric entities that would watch me, and then when I realized they were watching me, and they'd freak out when they saw I knew them, knew that they were there. I had a big excursion with them, and during that, I came across Greys, and they weren't your usual Greys. They were like Marines,
Marine
combat
grays?
armor. Yeah, like not like Marines, but like
Oh,
your
wow.
average 19-year-old attitude with guns. Kind of had a
Cool. Do
gremlin
they have
feel to them. What?
muscles or they?
Yeah, but they were short.
Yeah. Interesting. Do they have what were facial expressions? What do you think they were gonna visiting you for?
They helped me with the vampire kings that were like kicking my ass. Actually, it was a pretty intense dream. And
Oh, cool.
then they came back in a couple
With the
other
vamp.
dreams. So go on.
Okay. When you say vampiric entities, were they like humanoid? Were they like sanguine vampires, the blood ones, or like energy vampires, or some entity that just steals from you?
Uh, I'd say they had like a vampiric feel to them. Uh, the whole Nosferatu look. There was a couple females, but mainly males. But yeah, I like energy. But I did
Mm,
like the worst dream that I had with them. They were like feeding on people.
mm. Yeah, I've had those too. Multiple types. I find there's like multiple species of quote unquote
How
vampire,
did they act?
and
How did they act around you when they knew
some were
you
nice,
knew
a lot of
them?
them were negative. They tend to like start out native, especially if they didn't know who I was. They would try to like steal blood and like come after me and chase and stuff. And then it's like I like to I like to go through my DNA and integrate things, and I found there's a lot of evidence for different types of vampires, like chi vampires, sanguine vampires. Yeah, there, there's like whole stories of people.
Hmm.
Like if you go to, I have videos with Douglas Dietrich who talks about the different vampires that were secured by different militaries, like the Russian military, and then they were used in a program to try to make more vampires and their whole personality trait and their life extension and how they work. So I was able to tune into that bunch, but I also tuned into them in DNA that people inherit, and goes into damp fires, which is like half vampiric, half human, and then like the receding of certain qualities. And then so a lot of people. Well, I don't know how many people. I'd say a certain fair percentage have different vampiric genetics. Like sanguine, a little bit more rarer, but there are many types of energy vampire, like chi.
Hmm.
The I've even seen energy vampires, life force vampires, soul vampires. There's different energy authority abilities that have been passed down a lineage. It's like the cursed virus. It's like passed down. Yeah, so I'd say they're real. And there's a whole bunch of soft disclosure on them. But yeah, in the dreams, they are usually violent and they want to take from me and then chase. Sometimes I've met a more kind one that's just like an immortal person. Like I met an immortal woman, and I felt like I knew her, and it was like a bunch of past lives. So we had like conversations in a park. That was nice. And then sometimes they'll chase me, and I'll be like, oh well, let me see what would work against them. Oh, let me shapeshift into something that they respect, and then I have some genetics in their type of area. I've had like dreams about where I'm like a levitating thing that like scares the shit out of things. So I did that, and then they would back off and uh, uh, really question like what I am and stuff. So that's nice. And then I track back how they get into the dream and how they track, and like are they just an entity? Are they a dream entity? Or are they is this like an astral form from a being that's in a physical body and stuff? Some of it's different stuff sometimes. Sometimes it's coming
Hmm.
through the genetics you have. Like I'd say some of if you have genetics, an example, there it's vampiric genetics is a little volatile because there's a lot of members in the lineage that are vampiric. So they're parasitic to other members in the lineage, and they'll try to steal from the ability, especially if they're older and they have more abilities. And so you got to make a big quarantine shield around the genetics, and then resolve in a trap anything that fucks with you. And then they owe you three in universal law. And if you unite with the universe, anything that steals from you owes you three times as much energy. And if you put work on the ability to neuter and relinquish their authority, and then you get that energy back. And there's positive races of vampire. I'd say it's more aligned with the Earth and in Unity and Oracle skill set, where they're able to do and tune into missions on how to earn abilities instead of steal them. And they do positive missions like reverse vampirism from predators around the planet that shouldn't be there.
Wild.
Yeah. That's cool that you got that. That probably means you have some genetic links.
I don't know, because they're very terrified of me. Like once that I'm the thing that should not be.
Mm. They're terrified of you.
Yeah, like that dream that I had the Grays, they like jumped me. It was pretty bad. Like there was like hundreds of them.
Hmm. Interesting. So when the Greys showed up, they were terrified of you. Is that what you're saying?
No, they were like jumping me when the Grays showed up. The Grays just kind of like zapped them out of existence and pulled me out.
Oh wow, that's badass. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's uncreation. Lovely. Yeah. So yeah, what other races have you come across and concepts? I've so many, so we can talk about a bunch. I'll like go into whatever you've come
Okay.
across.
In that dream, when I got pulled out, I met this reptilian chick who was like light green. She was not at all like the ones people described. She seemed very caring. She told me to not freak out, put me in this like bubble thing to like heal me. And I
Mm.
asked her, I was like, "Is this my life and everything else a dream, or is it reversed?" And she's like, "You are where you need to be when you need to be." And that's all I can tell you, Josh.
Interesting. So it was a nice reptoid.
Yeah,
Cool.
she seemed like she was
Any
charismatic.
okay? Do you think it was like a naga, a raptor, a dinosaur, a draco, or like a reptoid from Orion, or
I think it's
a
like
mauler?
I think it was probably like an inner Earth. I heard about
Okay.
them, the ones that eat off that like are vegetarians that live off of funguses. I don't know if you heard about
Oh,
them. Apparently, they're the ones that
nice.
like met Admiral Byrd.
Okay. So like iguanas and stuff, or did it look like
Yeah,
any lizard species that was on the planet?
she was like greenish blue, kind of, kind of like raptor facial features, but more human. If that makes sense. She didn't have the whole
Okay,
snout,
raptor. Lovely.
but like
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So a nice raptor a humanoid. That's lovely. Yeah, they've been around the planet. They've been on the planet for a while. There's many types. There's old ones. Most of them are predatory, but there are offshoots that are gone more spiritual. So that's lovely.
that's what she seemed like. She was very spiritual, very healing, like mothering nature.
Hmm, hmm. Interesting. Let me see. Yeah.
But I did come out of a situation where I was like, "Oh my God, what is going on? Where am I?" You know?
Yeah, if she's visiting you, she's probably got connection to you in some way. You definitely have their genetics, both the gray and the raptor species. A lot of people do because they're also part of the genetic experiment with human, but not you probably got rarer stuff as well as your soul. I read that you have a soul connection to them, and that's cool that you have one with the really earth friendly ones. There's a lot of very powerful predatory ones. I've mostly been running into them, so that's lovely to hear. Um, some of my friends get attacked by them psionically. They're very powerful, especially the queens. Um, and yeah, they're good at the predatory ones are good at darkness, death, shadow, ego, pain,
Yeah, the other side.
destruction.
They live like in the shadow
Yeah,
network.
yeah, yeah. The negative ones good. They're like them.
Good at
There's a big
politics. Good at Wall Street.
yeah. The people Wall Street. Yeah, the Reptoid Wall Street. Yeah, yeah, and our financial systems like not like original on this planet at all. I was tuned into the big like how money works spiritually. It took me like months to go into all the. There's so many layers. It's like the big way I describe. Let's see if I can find it. Our money. The best definition I've been able to make with it is debt slavery, multi-galactic, parasitic, energy harvesting, cursed system of energy, numbers, paper, and metal. So, so if you counter all those things, and there's a bunch of other things, because it's all about because I help people build abundance and the psionics of abundance, so it like is strong in a circulation with your universe. It's like building up so it doesn't get stolen and then it reflects in your reality. There's so many layers to things stealing it. It's annoying, But if you get them all, evil isn't that creative, so they run out of ideas eventually. So you can like counter everything they're sending. So there's our system money is connected with multiple galaxies, at least this one and Andromeda, of energy harvesting systems, of value exchange for work and effort, and buildup of something in your reality that attracts greater abundance of people, places, things, activity, items, events, experience. So unfortunate, but that's our debt slavery system. And
Right.
I'd say a lot of the reptoids too. A lot of them had it before us, so it was like, who introduced it to us? That they say Sumeria with Anunnaki, and they're like a hybrid between the Syrian bees and Orion Empire. So the Orions are usually the reptoid introduction. But yeah, so and so what kind of things are your goal in figuring out like the secrets and the great mystery of what's going on here? And do you think are some of the problems people face and you face, and that might need solutions?
I'd say the main problem the
Maybe
world
question.
faces is probably greed, and we got to kind of figure out how to cleanse that out of our soul. Um, I'm trying to find all the
Greedy,
mysteries,
huh?
man. I live in
Yeah, yeah.
Wisconsin, so we
What do you
have
think?
to cleanse greed. Oh, it's going to be generations, I think. Especially the way the
Mm,
country's run. There's like a lot of mechanics that need to be fixed. Probably get rid of that whole slave money system for starters. Go back to bartering.
mm, good point. Yeah, when I tune into greed, it's an actual energy. Like people, like the seven
Yeah.
deadly sins are. It's a type of energy that goes into extreme lack and the need to fill a void, and it's an energy harvesting system in the energy is overloading a person, and it usually overloads the solar plexus, and it's like is energy, like there are big demons in a hierarchy and predators that have advanced in greed, and they project it onto this planet and our species and through the DNA, because we're also a hybrid between the biggest light
Mhm.
type of being, the biggest dark, angels and demons in a body kind of thing. So yeah, they'll the demon the devils will pour that in. Some of them are really advanced in greed, and it's going into programming our habit patterns and how we act, and then our stifle our evolution, which is ultimately the understanding and transcendence of lack, and to where we don't need, and then we are abundant and we are generous. So it's like turning the vice into the virtue, and piety and generosity and a charity, to where we're a generator and not a consumer.
Mhm.
And there's various faculties in a species to what bring a being to transcend that, such as mindset, intelligence, abundance, resources, ability to be perpetual. And then it's like our system likes to pretend that perpetual energy and using gravity and magnets and other electromagnetic forces, you can't make perpetual, or over unity generators where you can't make more energy or you can draw out an energy. And it's so they just keep, oh, thermodynamic law, some shit. And there's like,
Mhm.
I got like hundreds of videos on there that break that whole concept. So there's like ways we get into the mindset of how to build abundance, and to where
Free
you don't
energy
need
for
money.
starters. That's
Yeah.
actually what my last guest was all about.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for doing that. Oh, that I love when that information spreads. It solves a lot of things. So thank you.
Yeah.
Mm. And then so any big energy in your body that's culminating as like an illness or um, kind of disease or thing to transcend in suffering, you figure out how to master that and either transmute it into like a abundance fountain that generates more of a type of energy, and then it to where you can emit it to give to others, or you find out how to redirect it, because some of the energy doesn't want to be transmuted. It has like a purpose. Even like darkish energies like the seven deadly sins, they have purposes. With usually extreme situations, uh, what it would do is sometimes it acts as a punishment or like a thing that's required. Like if lust was didn't exist, as an example, there'd be way less species on the planet. So it's kind of like a perpetuation of
Mhm.
species thing. But like when people don't breed, then that kind of becomes unnecessary. Uh, it's situational. It's usually an enslavement mechanism now. uh, Greed as a punishment usually repels people, and it gets a person to uh, it's like it takes from them. So it's like an energy harvesting system as punishment on a person. But then since the dark stole out of that authority, they're abusing it and using it to corrupt good people, which is unfortunate. And anyone that's psionically laden and wanting to activate and be emergent, then if you're willing to master these type of energies, or if you're facing it, a lot of it, then you're probably on the front line. And if you learn how to master that, and then you make the whole world better, and then resolve the system of greed on this planet, that would help a lot of people. What other problems or things? So you like what topics do you usually cover on your show? And I'll like we'll go into all that kind of stuff.
All right, I cover the paranormal. I cover cryptozoology. I cover spiritualism. A lot of aliens, extraterrestrials, UFOs, disclosure. Interviewed some super soldiers.
Mm. What kind of things? Nice. What kind of things would you like to see disclosed most of all, and then going downward?
For starters, I know the military is 300 years ahead of us in technology. I mean, they openly brag about it. There's so many things that are being suppressed. We could open up some of the Vatican vaults, see all the
Mm.
races and information that's been suppressed for years. I know a big part of the
Nice.
Tower of Babel resides in the Vatican.
Mm. Let me see if I can figure out what on the timeline, because I love this topic too. On the timeline is needed in order to amplify that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3,
I
4.
already know the timeline.
That's
If it, when
Yeah. Tell me.
Roswell happened, if what Roswell happened and we opened them, if we came with open arms, we'd be way more advanced. We'd be a way more loving race, and we'd be way more technology right now too. If we were like, "Hey, welcome to Earth. We're the United States Army and the United States Air Force. We're going to take you to our president and see with the news. Welcome. Here's
Nice,
lunch."
nice.
you know, instead of here, you're getting arrested and going underground. This was nothing but a balloon. Go back to your life.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I find there's a lot of UFO activity, and the media usually covers up. So I found if you want those disclosure, of course, it's like the giant chess game of the government
Mhm,
and then the media. So it's like people are doing the thing with politics, of course, and there's an as above of so below thing. People can
mhm.
amplify that whole process in themselves. That reflects in the external universe. I found the government is a reflection in the collective unconsciousness and the DNA technology lineages for what you would be doing in the physical body and yourself, mostly having to do with control. So it's like
Yeah,
a,
that's a
yeah.
that's a huge part. Like with
That's why.
economy would just be gone if all the technology came out, but it'd probably be way better. Um,
Right, right.
right. I mean, would you give up
So
Walmart for med beds? I would.
yeah, and like what takes that timeline is both the truth unveiling to a large amount of people until where they stop giving their energy to parasitic systems and do action in groups to change that, as well as either forcing those compartmentalized groups to bring it out, or just reverse engineering it themselves and then having the people do it. There's a lot of systems that would willing to kill to stop that. So there's
Hmm.
that control system. So in order to make it so that they have less and less control is what I found is the center thing, which is sovereignty, unsovereignty. The control mechanism in a person's body is in the solar plexus. There's a main control center. Also has to do with their will, their power, their force, their discipline, their chi, their power, all the magic, a lot of stuff in the solar plexus near the stomach, and it's the currency thing that fuels other body system. And so that reflects to what the government is. Mostly, if people want to master control in themselves, which leads to like control over their own mind, their emotions, their body, their all that. Uh, this will amplify in the external how much the collective consciousness takes back control over themselves and their society, and then gets rid of the parasite that's taking away their control, which is what we have, which with Reiki
Right.
collection and so on. So if people take back their control center of their mind, their emotions, it's their main central control center for mind, emotions, spirit, body, and then the ego, soul. And then those five main ones plus 24 other control centers in the solar plexus, then this seems to shift the crap out of the reality. And I recommend them making their anytime they want to produce more power in a type of ability. First, they got to make sure they have the generator. Sometimes their generator is stolen. But people inherit things from past lives they earned. They can do missions to earn them. You can just like, hey, higher self, can you get on that? And you can like go earn a control generator if you don't have one, energy generator, and then your higher self is like a ghost aspect of you, giant ghost that does chess moves around the planet, and you can empower it, and then does more things, and it has remembrance of your past lives and has cool abilities that you inherited from learning these things. And you can do things that you're good at as missions for Earth and God and beings that have stuff to trade you, and you can then earn the cool stuff like abilities, and then if you have that generator inside your solar plex, then you do things to make it safe, like defense, shielding, fortress, offense, protection, capture traps, destruction, burning. You make that generator a burning sun, and that just takes care of every attachment coming at it. The loving attachment is also the pathway to enlightenment in Hinduism, Buddhism, because your greatest, most powerful self is already inside you. You let go of all the imprintation from the reality that's holding you back. That's not that. And then as you amplify that energy and how many units you produce, and then you build up the strength and the protection in that ability to where it protects itself, and it generates more energy, then you can start making all these constructs and creations and systems with it to maintain and take back full control of yourself. And then you can start healing. You can do this with other abilities too. You start healing and resolving that aspect that you mastered in the collective unconscious. and that brings the timeline better and better and better. It's like this timeline existing, and it's being pulled on by the light forces and the dark forces, and you're detaching all those dark force vote pulls of the stolen authority that they have as you're building up the strong strength of control that the individual and the collective has over itself. And the same thing for like curing stupidity and other emotional unintelligence and other things that could be done in the collective and that make the timeline better. And this planet is like a big, here's a bunch of problems, find a way to master all of them and transcend, and then you learn all and master all those abilities, and then you can take those abilities elsewhere. It's really nice teaching
That's
school kind of
awesome.
thing. Yeah, and
That's awesome because I have a friend that's like really, he calls himself a magic practitioner, and they call it the magic school. I wonder if it's pretty much the same concept, but for them,
oh, cool.
it all
Yeah, I
happens in the
love learning
astral
about
realm
math.
too.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the magic schools go into how you can affect the physical reality through the astral, and then they amplify
Hmm.
their astral body's intensity. Astral body centers usually with the spirit in the heart, and then the crown chakra.
Hmm.
And people have like an astral presence. Some will have it more than others, and especially if you have out of body experiences that, or flying dreams, and that will indicate you have more with it. Um, you build up that energy, you heal it, fortress its system, and then make it so that you have these multiple energy bodies going off in distances or eyes, and then you can remote view locations in the astral, and then you can do missions. And it's fun to see what is capable and possible. You can gain abilities, meet beings, uh, build an army of spirits, all kinds of stuff.
It's wild. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Um, what kind of a spirit kind of activity have you come across?
I actually used to be a paranormal investigator. I actually did it for a living in Illinois. It was pretty amazing. My most intense experience I talk about all the time is we were investigating this chocolate factory that had an experience like a light haunting going on in it. We worked with the Historical Society. We got to figure out it was a little girl that drowned in the 1930s. It was before it was a factory. It was like a little boarding apartment. And unfortunately, this girl ran away from her parents. She was 3 years old and drowned. But anyways, we got some like light activity. But I sat down and I felt her. I felt her crawling on me. I have children, so like I'm familiar, but it was cold. It was like a toddler. You ever have a toddler on your lap? You have. I don't know if you have kids. Probably not. You look pretty young. uh,
I date people that have
that,
kids, so
yeah. So you know what I mean when a toddler's on you. That crazy. You know what I mean? That spastic feeling on you. I felt that, but with cold spots. It was my most profound paranormal experience. I'd say most
wow,
great one. I'd say. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, yeah. Then go into mediumship, seeing ghosts, telepathy, clairaudience, and then be able to help resolve them. Great ability, very useful. You get rewards from uh, God from that for helping spirits cross over or resolve their earthly attachment. And it's usually like emotional trauma and things that they need
Yeah.
before they're able to see the light inside their heart, and then it allows them to move on to a cool astral realm or afterlife or heaven realm or
There's
something.
different levels of it too that I came across. Like we did a lot with it being Illinois. There's a lot of Civil War battlefields, so there's a lot of I call them flashes. If you're familiar, but they're like you'll see a soldier in a cannon real quick and then it'll disappear. Like they don't even know. I don't even think that's an entity. I think it's just like leftover energy.
That's a good one. Yeah, the
They usually tend to be
Civil War.
soldiers too.
Yeah,
So
the
I think
Civil
it's
War
something
battle.
that
Sorry,
you
there's
got to
a
be
noise.
traumatic for that to happen.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. If I have like a thinking strategy I do where well, in the beginning, I ask them questions and they give me answers, and I teach telepathy. So anyone out there that wants to learn this, you can hit me up, and then I can teach you, and then you can go into talking to spirits. Like you got like three ghosts around you that want that want wants. Actually, they're related to you. Interesting. So
I know what
and
you're
there's
talking
sometimes like
about. We'll discuss that after the show. I
yeah,
know
uh,
what you're talking
so
about.
so and you go out there, you go within, you receive, you project, and you in like a walkie-talkie form, and then you see what they need, and they usually want something or need help with stuff. That's why they're like coming to us, whoever's a bright light that they think they would have the capability of doing that. And or they sometimes they just attach to people, especially if they're related, and if they're not having a easy, successful death process, which a lot of people are like, oh, well, why, what? You can't have a successful. There's all kinds of things that happen in astral.
Yeah.
It's got a lot
It's
going on,
wild.
and it's like taking wounds, the afterlife. So it's better than what it could have been. But yeah, there's some shit. And a lot of the spirits have like anchored in earthly attachments to either places, people, things, and they need remedy, usually having to do with some big emotions that are holding them back from moving on, being afraid, not sure what to do, not seeing everything coming to them. Uh, you if some things happen where it's easy in a successful death, and that usually has to do with a lot of things wanting to support them in crossing over, such as family that loves them, people that surrounded them, people that are capable of uh, initiating commands with the afterlife authorities, as well as if they earned through positive action the attention of heaven realms to where they want them to come there. Otherwise, there's sometimes like in the Egyptian or the Tibetan Book of the Dead, there's like a bardo process, which is like a testing situation. I see that a lot of times. My dad went through this, um, where they're tested to see how they'll act and do with certain simulated situations, and that pushes them to resolve emotions and the anchors and attachments, and to see, depending on how many of the levels they pass is what they get granted and how many places they're allowed to go in the afterlife, and then how many cool abilities they earn, such as bilocation, to be in multiple places at once. And then heaven realms kind of are like a VIP club, because they're like they hold main authorities for creators of different realms, like angelics, etc. And
Mhm.
so they have to protect themselves strongly from invaders, and the quarantine realms and prison realms and hell realms and stuff are the places that uh, are it's like a lymphatic system for anything trying to invade a certain realm, where they get sent there. And I've seen some heaven realms that have been invaded, and it messes shit up. Like powerful divine authority gets stolen and then used to take over other worlds or invade places. It's pretty messy.
Wow.
But yeah, you can learn how to resolve things, and then get to where you have a situation or an ability that resolves the easy problems fast for spirits, and then you get the more complicated solutions. I went to a casino once. Well, I a few times, but this one time when I first went there, a bunch of spirits started following me after I left, and I was like, "What? Who are you guys?" And they're like tickling the top of my head, my nose, and my ankle and stuff. And I was like, What do you want?" There's a few tribes and stuff, so I started helping them resolve their stuff, and then they I kept having this tickling feeling in my leg over and over again. Who's that? And it wasn't a it was an animal. It was like a little wolf cub. And it's like, oh, what? I'm in Connecticut. There's no wolves here. And it's like, it's some of the last the this um, a Native American uh, told me that they brought them to me because they've been ghosts for a while. They're like these baby wolves that were some of the last wolves that existed in Connecticut, and they had like a
Oh,
whole
wow.
situation with preventing them from passing on and wanting to pass on because they had things that were involved in their death, the death of their species, and they had like a whole grudge with some of the humans that were part of that, and like destroying the wolves in that state. And I had to like that was a complicated issue, so I had to figure all these ways to because it was a hard situation. They wanted wolves to be back there, but I was like, that's almost impossible.
Hmm.
Maybe they can influence that. Maybe like with a wolf sanctuary or something.
But
So I
there's
was
not
like
going to be a
looking
good
at
outcome. Yeah. We have
yeah,
in my
and
state.
then
We introduced wolves, so there's so many people pissed off about it. But I love it. You hardly see them.
oh, nice. Yeah. I wish there was more wolves throughout like the U.S., but yeah, like the apex predator thing.
They'll have their time
um,
again. I bet they'll like around here. They're starting to thrive. I think they'll eventually be back like they used to be.
oh, where are you at?
I'm in
What state?
northern Wisconsin.
Ah, nice. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, maybe that they can thrive again and be like brought into sanctuaries down the states. That'd be nice.
The problem though that we have here is there's either going to be wolves or there's going to be coyotes. There's not going to be both.
Ah, yeah, they fight with each other. Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
usually the
Yeah,
coyotes really don't have much of a chance.
yeah. We had coyotes in there. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So yeah, you go into like super soldier stuff.
Yeah, I've interviewed
Yeah.
two of them, so I've had Rocco on, and then my friend Nate is also involved in my labs.
Cool. Yeah. Do you what do you feel about like your playing everything, and are you targeted or visited or
I
abducted or
I mean I've had them crazy dreams, so I don't know. I've had some missing time. Um, I've some times too where I've been like super sketched out about, sometimes I've seen a black eye, but I don't know, could just be paranoia.
if you want? What can you talk about your missing time experience, and then maybe I can tune into it for you.
Um, I honestly think it was those guys, them Grays. But me and my wife dropped off my son by my parents, and we came back and we were missing time. We were missing like an hour, and we take the same route all the time. And then,
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. And they were short grays or tall grays?
and then when I was missing time, no idea, just missing time. Got back to our house and we're like, what happened?
What age is this? And what was going on in time period and place you were in?
I think it was the summer. Like I said, we were dropping off my son, so it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I was
Hmm.
like 20, 28 maybe,
Okay. Hmm. Okay. And
and
how long were you think was missing in time,
an hour,
roughly?
an hour.
Okay. Hmm. And did you like see the clock change, and like what were all the freaky events that brought you to the conclusion of missing time?
Like we just got back and we're like, what happened? And we're in the country too, so it's like like not super traffic or anything.
So was it like missing time in the drive?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you got back soon?
No, we got back late, like way late, and they were like, "What happened?"
Okay, so like it took long. The drive took longer than you
Yeah,
expected.
like way long, like an hour longer, and there's no way. Like it's like a half-hour drive.
Hmm. Did you? Would you? What would you estimate would be the time period in the drive that the missing time would have occurred? Like in the beginning, the middle, or the end point?
No idea. Like we just got back late. Now we're like, "What? This is physically not possible." My
Hmm.
toddler just
Interesting.
popped in. Do you want to say hi?
Yes. And I'm just making sure, and you weren't like wasn't really traffic, and it was like driving for during non-traffic times.
Say hi. You
Hey,
want to go
nice to
go
meet you.
back out now? On camera. Your star.
Cute. All right.
He found his way in. Nope. Excuse me for a second. Go out, buddy.
Sure.
Go on out. Thank you. No. Whoa. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
We're in
no
my room,
problem.
so this. One day, if you have kids,
So,
you'll understand how destructive force a toddler is.
how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, I'll look through multiple temporal dilations coming at you.
Say that again? How old am I? I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
be.
So,
I'll be 36 on
okay.
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday's
Nice.
the third, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. 20 and you're okay.
We would
Hmm.
have been in black Dodge at the time. Yeah, what they're called. They're like SUV ones.
Okay. Yeah, people can get abducted even if they're in their car. I'm just gonna make sure on that. So, did
My
you
wife has
have?
a bunch of stuff going on too throughout her life. Like she was seeing things, but I'm not going to really discuss it on camera until she's ready.
Right.
So it could have been with
So,
that too.
did you notice the time uh, dilation concept in at the end of the trip or during it at all? Or and did you notice like
At the end, like we got home and we were like, "What happened?"
okay. Okay, there's a few I can
And we
talk
already had the
about.
show. I think we already had the show too at the time. So like we were like,
Mm. Did you so you were already doing this show at that
"I think
period?
so." There was also a
Okay.
show I was doing prior to this with somebody else, so I think it might have been that. And that show was called We Are the Disclosure." So I think, yeah, it would have been around that time frame.
Mm.
Maybe even before that. Maybe it was before the show. I don't know. I guess 36, and then turning 36, and that was like years ago. It's just a little strange occurrence that happened.
Okay, you got way more positive visitation going on than you have negative. I'm gonna go into what targets you and what time or age did you start waking up to all this stuff? By the way.
Young. I was pretty much right away as a child was like the real is not as it seems.
Oh, cool, nice. Okay.
But
I'm gonna go into your targeting. Do you get any targeting by the way?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I might. I
You get
don't.
headache, pain, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, uh, headaches, nightmares, night terrors,
I have the weird dreams. I have the body aches, but that's with the injury.
Okay, body aches.
Anxiety
All right.
sometimes,
So,
stress.
okay, one, two.
All the normal horrible stuff that comes with the human experience.
Okay, I'm also reading some of the pain that's on you is not your own, so it's being used as an excuse to put pain on you.
It did happen after that one dream too, where the Greys had to like pull me out like the next day.
Oh,
And then I found a
okay.
song that had it like it was really weird. I'll send it to you. Somebody told me too that I have this whole like music magic thing going on with me. So I'll look into
Do
that.
you play music?
No, like kind of some. I use Spotify like daily, but sometimes like I will get like a message in a song if that makes any sense.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So like the
Like a
musical
premonition almost.
kind
Yeah,
of stuff. Yeah, yeah, like where the universe is speaking to you through songs. Okay, yeah, I get that.
yeah.
That's cool. Nice. Okay, once you do you're starting at H. So I'm gonna go into your targeting, and we'll look
Okay.
into so we can get rid of things targeting you, and then that will clear things up, and then this will make more of your abilities flourish as well.
Okay.
Um, let's see here. What's your most targeted period? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Yeah, 90% starts at age 5. Yeah, a lot of people get similar stuff. Let's see why.
I have a really wild experience that happened with my grandfather too. We can cover that
Oh, yeah,
if you want.
yeah. Go ahead and talk about it while I'm tuning this.
Or we should probably wrap up the show too quick because we're at the hour mark. We can keep talking afterwards if you
Sure,
want.
sure, sure. Let me see what we got. Oh, ooh. Okay, you got. You got light magic. Um, So you got light energy emitting more than other people. Let's see, that started. Oh yeah, being drained. One, two, three, four, five. You'd be emitting 10,000 units a second. Age 5, it activated. Something became aware of that. Let's see what that is. No. ET. Trying to track. What is this?
I know a lot of
Uh,
people say I have like dragon energy around me all the time too, and it's really weird because I was born the year of the dragon.
oh, cool. Yeah, we can talk about dragons. I love dragons. This is one of my favorite. Um, some shape shifting
Yep,
species is targeting you.
Wendigo.
It's
Me and my
it's
grandfather
well
actually had an
Wendigo. It's
encounter. We actually had a encounter with it when I was 5.
ooh
My
really
mom and my grandfather were, my mom and my grandmother were very picky. My grandfather was like grew up in the Vietnam area, so he was pretty rough outdoorsman, like extreme outdoorsman, loved hunting, guns, gunsmith, fishing, like and part native, so he was extremely, attuned to nature. Every day he'd say, I'd spend a lot of time with him, and he'd be like, "Work boots off, hunting boots on. Have a great day. Right to the woods, right to the lake." But anyways, we were deep in the woods, and we saw something, and he picked me up and freaked out. And he wasn't the type of guy that got scared, and so I got really scared. And I always thought it was a Bigfoot experience. But then I was talking to another medium, and she's like, "You saw a Wendigo, Josh." And I think there's a lot of issues with you and that. And I've been trying to research it.
I agree with you. I'm getting like goosebumps while you're talking about it. Yeah, they're interesting. They're not like you can submize their personality. They're all over the place. Some are really hate humanity. Some are more neutral and are guardian protectors. But some like will put curses at you. Um, I'm reading it's attached to you. Uh, it doesn't seem. Let me see the exact purpose. Yeah, it's not exactly a positive one, I would say. And it seems to be harvesting off emotions and your solar plexus power. So you can detach from it. I would, since it's rare species, I'd recommend using love and doing like a transmutation of the evil inside of it, and then attempting to get it to like humans a little bit more. Right now, it hates humans quite a bit. Um, yeah, and then it's mostly going after power, and then there's psionic energy it's drawing off you. But so H51, there's also another shapeshifter thing. I don't know. This might be a theme with you. I wonder if that means you have some rare DNA with that.
It's really
Probably.
weird
If
too.
I go by,
Like my, I've like I always have dragons and wolves. All my MMA stuff, my jujitsu gi and stuff has werewolves on them. I always just kind of been instinctive into it. I mean, I also come from the werewolf state. I don't know if you've heard about the Beast of Bray Road. That's Wisconsin.
well, yeah, talk about it. I know I do a bunch of werewolf episodes. I mean, I'll exchange with you my data. What is it? Tell me about it.
Well, we have the whole Dogman experience here, where people claim to see werewolves, but there's the whole road where there's one constantly seen. Uh, what's her name? Judy Gray. I want to say she was a great author. She passed away a couple years ago, but she went extensively into the Dogman and Wisconsin lore. And then she realized it wasn't just Wisconsin, it was everywhere.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot there. Yeah, and so there's multiple types besides the military
Mhm.
experiment ones. There's like super soldier program ones with dog or wolf genetics, and they can. I've read into ones that they can go into shape shifting. There's White Wolf on Atzigan. He worked for the CIA, and it discloses things on them and psionic abilities and a wolf shifting program. There's the native tribes that have shamans that learn how to travel, and then they shift into wolves. There's the berserkers in Norse mythology. Some are able to transform into wolves or bears and stuff.
The
There's
Uthra,
like
yeah.
and there's a Japanese lineage that's like able to turn into dragons. There's the cursed virus werewolf thing is what mostly people talk about with I got into shows with people that talked about there's a country and don't exist because it was such a bad problem through the countryside, and they had the hunters and all that for it. Um, yeah, there's genetic evidence for them. There's also a connection back to canine species of higher sentient. People mostly
Yeah,
call them the Canis major,
yeah.
and
Fun
there's
fact.
which a humanoid.
I was going to interrupt. The
Yeah.
original Olympics, since the Olympics was going on a week or two ago, there's records. They have records of werewolves competing with them.
Ooh. Yeah. There's also mystery schools, ones that go into greater sovereignty because it's like a beast form that they can't really control, and it kills a bunch of people. So there's like whole mystery schools into that to try to control it. Some secret societies also have gone into it a little. Then there's
Mhm.
uh, it's like kind of I've heard it's a painful shape shifting. Um,
I heard about the
there's genetic
spiders too.
down and people
Have
can
you?
tap into it. Connection to the moon. What'd you say?
Have you heard about them? The were spiders,
No, tell me about
apparently.
that.
I mean. what are they called? They're like the Anastasi. There's a whole legend about them. And they like watch from the shadows and control to like work within the government.
Are they like shape shifting spider people?
Yeah,
Like big spiders, like giant spiders?
both and they're like tiny ones. It's like the main thing. I think they're like known to be like spy type network.
Interesting. Cool. Thanks for letting me know that. I know about the suits
They
and
go by the
Gumo.
Anastasi. Very weird name.
Oh, interesting. I know about the Suitsun Gumo, which is like the lady spiders that are in yokai mythos and Japanese mythology.
Yeah,
Those a few of those I've had target me, and when I track back certain species, like get information and like, oh, what it's spiders, and there's also giant telepathic spiders underground, and there are various places for them. There's whole legends in the forests in Vietnam. Like I have a vet that told me that they saw like spiders the size of like small dogs
yeah, I've heard that
come out of
too.
caves. And yeah, there's like bigger ones in South America, and I've heard ones in Madagascar. And there's like cave systems. They like to. I mostly find them underground. And then there's really, really big ones, like really deep underground. There's like a protective barrier thing of really hard, near unbreakable stone that's very it's long, and it's seems to be a self containing mechanism of Earth that exists to separate different groups of species that don't work well with each other. And I've seen time. I've had dreams, and also when I track back things to resolve stuff that come at me, there are timelines that exist where they're breached, mostly by the military. It seems to be our fault a lot of the time, where they just keep drilling down and they don't see, they don't know, and then it breaches a whole thing, and then that it causes a really negative timeline. So that is
Yeah,
prevented a lot. I recommend people drill through there, because they're a lot. They're pretty violent. It's like they're like a defense system. Earth seems to be a library vault maze. It has all these treasures deep inside her, but like um, it's not worth it, and they are very violent. So I recommend that. Oh, and dragons. So you want to go on that one? That was a good one.
we can go into that maybe in another
Space.
episode. We're about,
I love dragons.
or I guess we can switch.
Sure, sure. We can do another episode. We just wanted to totally exist. Telepathy, really strong. Saved my life at some point from getting possessed and then deeply hurt. Um, and they're like programmers and management for realms, and they don't need a body, but some had bodies. Most of them are dormant underground. They're near extinct. There's over 4,000 dragon families that interact and have bred with humanity, and their genetics are permeating through some of humanity. So that's fun. There's some dragon abilities people can tap into, and then dragon guys
That's
that talk
cool.
to people. Yeah, and then we can go into dragon magic if you want in our next show, if you want to go into it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Um,
Wait, I think we could do a whole show just on were creatures too. Would be awesome.
yeah, let's do
Halloween's
it. Let's
coming
do
up soon.
shapeshifter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to pick your brain on what you learned from that. That would be lovely, and then we can tune into the genetics and how to tap into it, and then turn on certain abilities. Yeah, I can tune into yours too as an example, and we can go live into it and like, oh, how do we turn that on? And it'll be fun.
awesome. That sounds awesome. It's been a
Sweet.
pleasure. We got pretty deep down the rabbit hole today. We can go deeper, so we're definitely going to have you back on.
Oh, thank you. And is it okay if I upload this on my channel too?
Oh, absolutely. Feel free to.
Sure. So how do people reach you and contact you and stuff?
Um, if you want to talk about an experience, email me at losttotherabbithole@gmail.com, all one word. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, uh, YouTube, Twitter, kind of, because I really don't like the new or whatever it's called now. We do. I'm supposed to start Rumble, but I'm trying to figure out the kinks. So yeah, check us out on Facebook or YouTube, the main source, or
Sweet.
TikTok.
Nice.
How do
Any
we find your
projects or
show?
books? Any projects or books you have coming up or anything? Plans?
I have not written a book. I do have another episode tomorrow with a artist from Marshfield, Wisconsin, which is cool. Which is my very first guest from the same state, which is awesome. I've been doing this for a while. Never had anybody else from Wisconsin, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, lovely.
What about you?
Yeah.
Do you have any
And
books
I'm
to
Sean
talk to?
Bond. Yeah. I'll be doing like conferences in the future, doing the 2025 full disclosure movement .org conference in Florida, and I'll be doing something with Rion in Sedona, and then maybe some more in the future. But yeah, planning on writing books, and I got a bunch of projects. So yeah, I'm Sean Bond, Psionic League, PSI Psi, Psionic League at gmail.com, Psionic League YouTube, if you want to look into superhuman abilities and video evidence, and then you download that blueprint in your mind, and then start having it unlock and do workshops and video products that teach abilities. You can go to my membership site. It's going through a little maintenance right now, but keep looking late, and it'll pop up. And you can contact me on Facebook, Sean Bond, and on Instagram and X and all the other stuff. And yeah, I'll be doing trips, sacred places of power on the globe, like pyramids and stuff. I'm in Mexico, so I'm doing a bunch in Mexico right now for our next trip that unlocks super dormant built human abilities by bringing the place what it needs and healing fortress, resolving whatever problems they got going on there in a safe manner. And then people, it unlocks and expands in the collective consciousness around the area, and then whoever visits them. And if you're involved, then you get a whole bunch of gifts. So do trip inquiry to Psionically at Gmail if you want to sign up for the trips, and you can tell me what places you feel like going to and all of that, and we'll be involved in that trip. You can write trip inquiry, and yeah, a lot of other projects coming up. Look forward to working with you more. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So everybody be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
smash that like, comment below if you want to see more of this content. Subscribe to both our channels, to Lost to the Rabbit Hole and
Lost
Sonic
in the
League.
rabbit hole, yeah.
And yeah, share this video wherever you can, and get it out there. The more we see, the more we'll do.
Sounds good. Later, everyone. I'll
Later.
just send this to stay on. Stream.